welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Rick Titus, and this is Robinson Restoration and Service, newsroom. So we got lots to share with you today, and I'm really going to react to a specific topic that I mentioned the other day, and boy, did that get some inquiries. And so I want to address what I was really talking about on that. You were going to buy a kit car, whether it's half done, completely still in the box or crate, or even if it's done, it's worth your while to go to Denton, Texas, just outside Dallas, to Robinson Restoration and Service to have them finish the car, either literally from bare kit or one that's already done. And particularly if you're going to take one to the track. My early entree into the automotive journalism gig was with Kit Car Magazine, and there were at the time about 3 different American publications dedicated to kit cars, replica cars, component cars, depending what verbiage you want to use. And then there were several European magazines as well, and those magazines have made it, largely due to the lack of advertising, not public interest, but they just couldn't get the pages filled to justify the printing, which is a real shame because kit cars, component cars, always draw a lot of attention. I think in part because enthusiasts are looking for something maybe that looks like a Ferrari, but they can't afford a real Ferrari, or looks like a Porsche or a Lamborghini, or whatever it is, a Stutz, a Street Rod. People have this perception that it will be a much less expensive way in, and though it usually is less expensive, it's now way less expensive. Component cars done properly, manufactured, designed, engineered, are expensive because there's a lot of work that goes into them. And I kind of learned that the hard way because like a lot of enthusiasts, I too had the fantasy of maybe someday getting something kind of exotic. I got pretty lucky early on because my standards, though set largely by watching my father test cars when he was the editor of Sports Car Graphic magazine in the 60s, so I saw what the deltas were on key areas of design and engineering and execution. That helped me learn what to look for in a vehicle. As it applied to kit cars, that thing turned into a sieve because not many were meeting the standard. There were 1 or 2, maybe 3 Cobra replica manufacturers doing a very good job. Chuck Beck, who is the Delta of everything from door jambs to windshields to roof seals, hood fitment. This is a guy that gets it. I got to give Factory 5 a lot of credit. They are on their game and doing a pretty darn good job. And there are others, but those are just a couple of the highlight ones, because so often we would go to the track to test them. At that time, the editor was Bob McClurg, very good writer, good editor, and knew what to look for in terms of content for the magazine, but counted on me to really evaluate the vehicles. And we would go to track tests because we wanted to do something no other component or kit car magazines were doing, and that was really evaluate the vehicle under load, but not on the street. And so often, more times than not, we left disappointed. So what happens? Why do you want Robinson to do it? And why have I recommended that in a big way? What really helps with Robinson, not only is the owner of the company anal retentive, this guy is a detail fanatic, but beyond that, he's got the knowledge. And so too the people he has work on these kind of special projects, because there are times to use a grade 8 bolt, and there are times you shouldn't use a grade 8 bolt when everyone thinks, well, you just use grade 8 throughout. Well, you not only wasted a lot of money, you might have wanted a grade 5 bolt in there at different points in the vehicle. Carroll Smith, the late Carroll Smith, wrote a great book on fasteners. No, this is not a book that's going to keep you up night as a page turner, but if you want good, clean technical information, his book about racing fasteners and how to properly safety wire a car, when to use this kind of fastener, and how to go about it here, really taught me a lot. Even though hanging around race cars had already given me a pretty strong understanding, it's not as straightforward as it seems. And to so many of the people who build a kit car or replicate a car, who have dreams of becoming a big manufacturer at it, they get the looks down, or very, very close, in some cases darn close, but that's not where that may be where it starts, but that's certainly not where it ends. You need a chassis. designed to hold up to whatever horsepower they're going to put in it, whatever size tires and brakes you're going to put on it, because those are huge load variables. Cornering forces, and then if you get into the suspension stuff, which I'm pretty fanatical about coming from racing, and I feel because it's safety, has it been bump steered? Can they get the wheels to travel up and down over a bump and not point one off in a direction, or both, that you don't want to go? They understand the anti-dive and anti-squat properties, which is all a geometric conclusion. Is the suspension strong enough? Are the pickup points at the right spots? Are the roll rates or roll stiffness, is that well engineered and thought out? I mean, there are so many details in building a good handling / safe handling component car. You want someone evaluating that stuff, and they'll test for it. All that stuff's measurable right there on the floor if you've got the right people working. Into aerodynamics, because you don't always have to go to full applied aerodynamics, though initially they do start at about 50 miles an hour, Paul Lamar once taught me. And there are cars that are driven well over 50 miles an hour, in which case you want the aerodynamics on the money. But the reason you need someone who understands all the foibles, all the potholes that you can drive into, is because there are so many. Door seals and hanging doors. This is something Chuck Beck seems to understand just about better than anybody. Though there are others. Factory 5 does a good job. They get it. Superformance is, that's the top of the hill right there, those guys. But you don't put their cars together. One of the more legitimate cars that you can buy are from Factory 5. They do a good job. We will run a line of continuation Cobras. But when you get those aren't to be assembled by you. They're done in-house by people who know what they're doing and tested by a driver or two there that are really highly qualified to be doing this evaluation. And if you're going to spend the money to buy a replica or even an original design from a component or kit car company, make sure you've done the homework by having someone who knows what they're doing finish it. And that's why I recommend Robinson so heavily, because I know when that car goes out the door, it's going to be right. It's not going to do anything funky into braking. The brake bias will be right. The brake balance will be all right. The tires will stay aimed in the direction they're supposed to go. They'll know what alignment specs to put on it based on the nature of A, the tires, and B, the use the vehicle is going to get. They'll understand the difference between fuel load full, fuel load almost dry, and what that weight difference does to the balance and behavior of that vehicle. And those are the kind of people you want working on this. Well, I've worked with some companies that were building these things. They would have known to ask those questions. They didn't even know those were critical questions in developing a final solid product. So that's why I was so stringent on recommending, because I know that RRS, who you can go to their website, rrstexasusa.com, and not only see these podcasts in our newsletter, but you can see the kind of work that they do. And we're going to be following along on some projects that they're working on. In fact, I leave here in just a couple of days now to go and test one of the Factory 5 Daytona Coupe replicas called a 65 Coupe. I'm going to test one of those at Hallett during a vintage racing event. And I'm pretty confident I'm walking into something that, even though Robinson Restoration Service didn't build this car, they've gone through it. I'm pretty confident this thing's going to go where I need it to go. And we'll get some good footage and we'll share that with you because we look forward to it. Well, that's kind of a quick update on what we were thinking on that. And we'll come back to that topic more. We're going to take on other things. You know, as a lot of you may know, I was involved with Chuck Beck on the concept and certainly the construction of the prototype Shogun, which was that Festiva with the show Taurus engine in the middle. Managed to sell 6 of those puppies. One now in Germany. It actually passed 2. So good car, quick right out of the shop, and we had a lot of fun with that thing. And anything Beck does, I don't care if it's his Lister program, his 550 Spider, his 356 Coupe, or his 904. No matter what project he does it top of game. I've track tested every one of Chuck's cars, and they come off the trailer good to go. You can go ahead and lean on it right now. And those kind of guys are rare. They exist, but they're rare. But you need to know what kind of questions to ask them to evaluate them and to really evaluate how you spend your money. Because a good component car is going to be $50,000, $60,000, maybe more. And it's worth the percentage to invest in having it put together properly so you can really enjoy it and enjoy it safely, particularly if you're going to take it to the track. So all that said, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. And we will continue to do the newsletter, which you can find in our media room right there in the website. And of course, we're wishing you open roads and safe motoring. You take care. Talk to you in a week. Bye.